होमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषु भिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। आप सभी का स्वागत है इस भगवद गीता के सत्र में।
We welcome all of you to
अध्ययन कर
today's
रहे हैं
Bhagavad-Gita.
भगवद गीता तृतीय अध्याय के 22वें श्लोक से, यहाँ पर
We are studying third chapter, verse 22 onwards. Here, Bhagavan is explaining Karma Yoga
अर्जुन के प्रश्न के उत्तर में कि उनके लिए क्या श्रेष्ठ
in answer to Arjuna's question that what is best for me,
इससे मेरा श्रेय होगा वो मेरे को बताइए। तो उन्होंने कहा कि आप
which will be ultimately beneficial for me. Please, so Bhagavan said that you perform karma.
असक्त ही आचरण कर्म परमाप्नोति पुरुष, कि आप निरासक्त होकर अपना
That you
कर्तव्य
should become detached and perform your duty according to your varna and ashram. Whatever is prescribed, you should follow that, and that will be of supreme benefit
इस
for
विषय
you.
में उन्होंने बोला था कि जो भी
In this regard, he had also spoken
आचरण करता
that
है
whatever
सामान्य लोग
is done by great people, the ordinary people imitate that.
दिया था कि आप
So he had given the logic that you should also perform your
अगर
karma
आप एक
because
श्रेष्ठ व्यक्ति हैं
you are a
और श्रेष्ठ
very well
व्यक्ति
known
होने के बाद
person,
दूसरे उसको आदर्श
superior
मानते हैं,
person in the society, and
इसलिए वो
whatever
फॉलो करते हैं।
great people like you perform, it is followed or it is imitated by
तो
the
ये एक
common
महत्वपूर्ण
public.
बात उन्होंने कही थी
So he had
पिछले श्लोक में,
spoken
जो हमने
this
पिछले
very important
पाठ में
point
पढ़ा था
in the previous verse
कि
which we had studied in the
संसार
previous class.
जैसे एक गाड़ी है या कोई भी वाहन है,
So suppose
उसका
there is
चालक
a
होता है
vehicle, it has a
और बाकी
driver
उसमें यात्री बैठते हैं,
and
तो वो
others are
जहाँ
passengers
जाना
sitting
चाहिए
in that vehicle. So
वहाँ
wherever
चलते
the
हैं।
driver will take the
तो
vehicle, the
उसमें बहुत सारे
passengers will
नियम
also
और
go to that same
परिवार
destination.
छुपे हुए हैं,
The passengers do
नियम
not have
कानून
any
और
independence. If
जीवन के अंदर ही
passengers are sitting
चलते रहे
in
किसी
an
न किसी
aeroplane,
नियम के अंदर ही।
you will reach wherever the
तो इसी
pilot will
प्रकार
take you.
हमारे समाज में कुछ लोग
Similarly, in our society,
श्रेष्ठ पुरुष
some
बोलते
people
हैं, नेता
who we
बोलते हैं,
consider as
तो वो वास्तव में
leaders,
समाज को
like
चलाते हैं।
politicians, they govern the
हवाई जहाज
society.
में या रेलगाड़ी में या किसी कार में इत्यादि में तो हमको दिखता है कि ये चला रहा है और हम
In
बैठे
an
हुए हैं,
aeroplane, we can
लेकिन
see the
समाज में
pilot
ऐसा दिखाई नहीं
who
पड़ता।
is driving.
वास्तव में ऐसा ही होता है कि
In
वो
this, but in the
समाज को
society, we cannot
चलाते
see
हैं
that.
और उसके
But there
नियम
are
और
some
कानून
people
चलाते
who
हैं।
frame the laws and they govern the society
समाज
according
में
to those
समाज में
laws.
कई चीजें ऐसी हैं उनका हमको पता भी नहीं
Some
चलता।
things can be investigated
इसलिए
by us,
ऐसे
but there are other things which
नेता
we
लोग
can never know.
जो अपने को
That
श्रेष्ठ मानते
how
हैं वो
the
नियम कानून
politicians, how they frame
जिसकी
the
वजह से समाज
policies, the
चलता है वो
laws,
कैसे बात
and
करते
how
हैं,
they govern the
क्या
society.
बोलते हैं, उनका अपना एक योजना रहती है।
They have
तो
their own
पहले जो
plans,
श्रेष्ठ
their
व्यक्ति
own
थे वो
systems, their
श्रेष्ठ
policies.
धार्मिक पुरुष होते थे। ये श्रेष्ठ शब्द जो
So
है ये
earlier,
श्रेष्ठ शब्द से आता है
the
जिसका
leaders were very religious.
प्रशंसनीय होता है।
Shrestha
नेता
means
के
one
कहने से
who
मेरा
is
अर्थ यही है
worth
कि श्रेष्ठ मतलब
glorifying.
ऐसा है
He has
कि
such great
आपके
qualities
नेता
and
के बारे में
character
उनका गान करें,
that
या फिर अगर
you
किसी व्यक्ति
feel
को देखें कि
naturally
बहुत दयालु है,
like glorifying that person.
परोपकारी है, तो आपके मन में
Like if you
स्वतः ही
see some
उसके
person is
प्रति
highly
अच्छा भाव आता
charitable,
है।
compassionate, then
तो ऐसे
naturally
व्यक्ति को भी
you
श्रेष्ठ कह
feel very
सकते हैं, क्योंकि
favorable
सबसे
towards that
उत्तम है,
person.
सर्वोत्तम है,
So
उसको
among
श्रेष्ठ
such
कहते हैं।
people also, whoever is the
श्रेष्ठ
greatest,
शब्द से
that is called Shrestha.
तो श्रेष्ठ व्यक्ति के ऊपर एक बहुत बड़ा उत्तरदायित्व होता है समाज
So
के
the
प्रति।
Shrestha person, the
श्रेष्ठ
leader
व्यक्ति है
has a great responsibility.
और
The
जिससे
glorification that he
अन्य लोगों की
relieves,
आपकी प्रशंसा
that
करते
he
हैं, आपको
receives,
अच्छा लगता
which
है,
may
अच्छा
also
लगता है।
give him pleasure. Like
तो
we
उसमें
feel
ऐसा
happy when we are
समाज
glorified,
के
we
किसी
feel sad when we are
व्यक्ति को भी
criticized.
रहता है कि वो इस
So
प्रकार
such
अच्छा
great
व्यवहार
people,
कैसे
when they
करे
are
कि
glorified,
जो
then
आपकी
also they
प्रशंसा
have a
करते
great
हैं
responsibility
उनके मन में आपके
that
प्रति दुर्भावना आ जाए।
the people who are glorifying me,
तो
they
ये
I should not act in
किसी
such a way
उस
that
प्रकार
they
के लोग
become
रहते हैं जिनकी
against
अगर
me.
प्रशंसा होने लगती है तो बस वो अपनी
So
प्रशंसा करते
nowadays,
रहते हैं,
leaders do not
और
care
कोई
about
उनका
what public
दायित्व
feels
नहीं
about
होता उनके
them.
प्रति।
They do not bother about
बहुत
their
देखते हैं कि बड़े
responsibilities
बड़े
towards
नेता
the
कुछ समय
society.
बाद
We see such great politicians,
उनकी निंदा करने
leaders,
लगते हैं,
after some
जिनकी
time,
बहुत
they
प्रशंसा
start
होती है
getting
तो उनकी
criticized.
निंदा भी होती है।
Initially, they are glorified
तो
and
इसका
later
कारण
they
क्या
are
है
heavily criticized
कि वो
also.
श्रेष्ठ व्यक्ति
So, what is
अपना
the reason?
उत्तरदायित्व नहीं
The
समझा।
reason is that
वो
politician
जो
or
भी
leader
व्यक्ति
did not
समझते हैं कि
understand
परिवार
his
में जो कोई
responsibility.
मुखिया है परिवार
Like
का,
there is a family, in the
जैसे एक
family there is a
परिवार
head
होता
of
है,
the family.
जैसे
So the head
छोटे
of the
स्तर पर
family has some
छोटे व्यक्ति होते हैं,
responsibility.
छोटे
It
स्तर
is
पर
not
जो
that
छोटे
leader
व्यक्ति
is there
होते हैं
only in the country or
उनको
society.
भी अपना ये
And even at the smallest level
उत्तरदायित्व
there are
समझना
leaders.
चाहिए।
So the head of the
अगर
family
वो
should
ईमानदारी
also
नहीं
perform
निभाएगा
his
तो
responsibilities
इसका उसके
carefully.
ऊपर असर
If he does
पड़ेगा।
not do that,
शास्त्र में हम
then
पढ़ते
it
हैं
will
कि
influence the
राजा
other
को
people
सब प्रजा का
in the
एक एक
family or the
हिस्सा पाठ का
society.
मिलता है, ऐसा आपने
Like
सुना होगा।
we hear in
राजा
Shastra
को
that the
एक एक
king
शिष्य का पाठ
share
मिलता है।
some share of the sins of
तो
the
इसके पीछे
public
कहने का
or the
मतलब
guru
ये है
shares the sins
कि
of the
कोई भी king
disciple.
हो या
So
गुरु हो
what
या
is the
आचार्य
purport
हो,
behind that? Whether it is king or
श्रेष्ठ
guru or
व्यक्ति के
acharya,
साथ
whoever,
लोग चलते हैं
there are people
तो
who
इसलिए उनके
follow
ऊपर उत्तरदायित्व
the
रहता है कि वो
leader or the guru.
उनको सारे
So
जो
these
नियम कानून
leaders
हैं
or gurus, they have
उनके आचरण का पालन करते हैं,
responsibility that those who are under them,
उसी को
they
बोलते हैं
maintain proper
उत्तरदायित्व।
character or behavior. That is the meaning of
स्वयं
acharya.
आचर्यति अपि, स्वयं चैव आचरति तेन आचार्यता स्मृत, वो स्वयं भी आचरण करता है। तो ये स्वयं
The
आचरण
acharya
करना
himself also does acharan,
यदि
proper
अच्छा है
behavior. So here Bhagavan is
तो
speaking about
आचरण के ऊपर
acharan,
जैसे
proper character,
शास्त्रों में
proper behavior.
बल दिया गया है
So
कि
Shastra has
आचरण करना
place tremendous emphasis on acharan.
आजकल क्या है कि आचरण
Nowadays,
पर बल नहीं देते हैं, अब
there is
आचरण
no
शब्द उसी धातु से एक आचार होता है,
nowadays there
आचार
is
से
no
बना है।
focus on achar. The focus is
आजकल
on
क्या है,
prachar.
प्रचार पर ज्यादा
The
बल
focus
दिया
is
जाता
on preaching.
है। थोड़ा सा
Nowadays,
सीखो,
people give lot of emphasis on preaching. You learn little bit of shastra and
जहाँ
then
हम
start
कहते हैं कि
preaching.
शास्त्र का जो सार है
They
वो
even
क्या है,
say that the essence of all the shastras
तो
is
शास्त्र का
preaching.
सार जो है वो प्रचार नहीं है।
But the
शास्त्र
fact is
आचार,
that preaching is not the essence of
आचार है,
shastras. The
पद्धति
essence
है,
of shastras is
व्यवहार है,
achar,
महाजन की
proper
परंपरा है,
character,
पंथा।
proper
ये
behavior.
सब श्लोक क्या कहते हैं, आचरण के ऊपर बोलते हैं।
These verses
भगवान
place
भी इसलिए
emphasis on
बोलते हैं
acharan,
यदि
on
अनाचर,
proper
और
character,
वो स्वयं भी आगे अपना प्रमाण देंगे।
ideal behavior. So in the
तो
upcoming verses, Bhagavan will also
तो
give praman
शास्त्र का
that even
सार जो है
I
वो प्रचार
follow
नहीं है।
proper behavior.
क्यों, शासन
So
शब्द का अर्थ क्या
preaching
है,
is not the essence of the shastras.
शासनात,
What is the meaning of the word shastra?
शस धातु से शासन
Shastra is
बना है,
from
जो
shas
शासन
dhatu,
करता है,
which means to
जो
discipline,
आपको
to
एक
do
निर्देश
shasan.
देता है,
It gives you a code
जो
of
कुछ करने
conduct,
के लिए बताता है
proper
कि ऐसा
behavior,
करो, ऐसा मत
what
करो,
actions
ये
should be done,
शास्त्र
what
है।
should not be done. That is
भगवान
called
ने गीता में
shastra.
कहा है, कोई बड़ी
In
बात नहीं है,
Gita, Bhagavan
गीता
also
के
says
21वें में लिखा हुआ है, तस्मात् शास्त्रम प्रमाणम ते कार्य कार्य व्यवस्थितो ज्ञात्वा शास्त्र विधानोक्तम कार्य कर्तुम यह अर्हसि। भगवान कहते हैं इसलिए आपका प्रमाण
Bhagavan
शास्त्र
says
है।
that shastra is the
प्रमाण
praman.
का मतलब ये जानना
Praman
चाहिए
means
कि आपको
to
क्या करना
understand.
चाहिए, क्या
If
नहीं
you want
करना
to
चाहिए।
understand what you should do, what
कार्य
you should
कार्य
not do,
व्यवस्थित हो, एक
you
ये
have to
व्यवस्था
learn
है
Shastra.
कि ये
It's a
करना, डू
system.
डू
Shastra has given a
हम
system of do's and
कर्म करते
don'ts.
रहते हैं,
We are
लेकिन
always
जीवन में
engaged in
कोई
action,
कोई जीवित
and
नहीं
Bhagavan
रहता।
has said that nobody can
शरीरमपि जातु तिष्ठति अकेलेन,
continue to live without doing anything
शरीर यात्रा भी न ते
in order
भविष्य
to
कर्मणा।
maintain the body.
अगर आप काम नहीं करेंगे तो आपका
If you do
शरीर
not
यात्रा नहीं
work,
करेगा।
how will you
हर एक व्यक्ति,
survive?
ज्ञानी पुरुष भी कार्य करता
So
है, बुद्धि
even a
भी
very
कार्य करता है,
intelligent
लेकिन
person also
ऐसा होना
is
चाहिए
always engaged in
कि
action.
ये
Bhagavan is also always
शास्त्र है।
always engaged in action.
क्यों,
But what
उसका
type of action should be done? For
उसके
that there
कर्म
is
का क्या
Shastra.
फल होगा ये हमें पता नहीं
Why
है।
do we need Shastra? Because we do
लेकिन
not
केवल
know the
इतना
result
है
of our
कि न
action.
कर्मण्येव अधिकारस्ते
That is
मा
why
फूलेषु
in Gita,
कदाचन,
in third chapter,
आपका
Bhagavan
अधिकार
says
कर्म में है,
that your adhikar is in
कर्म में
karma,
आपका अधिकार
not
नहीं। अधिकार मतलब
not on the
आप
phala.
कोई स्वतंत्र नहीं हैं
Adhikar means you do not
कि
have the
कर्म करूं तो
independence
ऐसा फल मेरे को मिल ही
to
जाएगा,
decide
ऐसा
the
नहीं है,
result of your
क्योंकि
action,
उसके ऊपर हमारा नियंत्रण नहीं है।
because you cannot control
क्या
that.
फल मिलेगा ये भगवान ही जानते हैं।
What result will be derived from your action, only
इसलिए
Bhagavan knows
शास्त्र की बात
exactly.
सुननी चाहिए,
That is
शास्त्र
why we should
भगवान
listen
का
to
वाक्य है।
Bhagavan's teachings.
तो
Shastra is the
शास्त्र है क्या,
order of Bhagavan.
साक्षात भगवत प्रणीतम। शास्त्र क्या है, जो साक्षात भगवान ने जिसका प्रणयन किया
Shastra
है,
is direct revelation of Bhagavan.
उनकी वाणी है।
It is Bhagavan's Vani,
यह स्वयं
his
पद्मनाभ
word.
मुख पद्मनाद विनिश्रिता, जो स्वयं भगवान के मुख से निकली है वही तो भगवत गीता है, उनकी वाणी है।
Bhagavad Gita is that which has emanated
तो आप
directly from
कहिए
the lotus
इसके
mouth
लिए
of
हमें क्या फल
Bhagavan.
होता है, हम नहीं जानते।
So Bhagavan knows the
हमें
result
तो
of
इसका कोई
every
पता ही
action.
नहीं, हम भोजन कर रहे हैं, इस शरीर में क्या
We
फल
don't
मिलेगा,
even know that when we are
हमें
eating, what impact it has
कि
on the
आपके अंदर
body.
ये कमी है
We
तो
eat
इसको
food,
भोजन कीजिए,
but then
हम क्या
doctor
खा सकते
says
हैं भोजन को,
that if you have this
ये
deficiency, you should
विटामिन
eat this
लीजिए,
or that.
ये मिनरल्स
Just by
लीजिए,
seeing food, can you say how much vitamin,
ये शास्त्र बताता है, डॉक्टर
etc.,
बताता है,
whatever I will
शास्त्र
get?
जानता है।
So, doctor means
डॉक्टर
one who
चिकित्सक
understands
का
the science of the Shastra of medicine.
शास्त्रज्ञ है।
He is an
वैसे ही
expert in
भगवान
that field.
जानते हैं,
So
ऋषि
similarly,
जानते हैं
Bhagavan knows,
कि
the rishis
इस कर्म
know
का क्या फल होगा,
which karma
क्योंकि
has
शास्त्र की रचना
what
की है।
result.
इसलिए
So they
भगवान
have
कहते हैं
given
कि
us
आपका
these
प्रमाण
Shastras.
शास्त्र है, आप
That's why
प्रमाण
Bhagavan
ग्रहण
says,
करिए, शास्त्र
Shastra is
ग्रहण
your
करिए।
praman. Do not become whimsical in your life.
सयत प्रमाणम
Learn and
जो
follow
प्रमाण
Shastra.
करता है वही आपका आचरण करना चाहिए।
And you
तो
should
शास्त्र
do
में बोलते हैं ना
only
कि
what
शास्त्र का मतलब
Shastra
वही है जो
says.
विधि
So as I
करता
was
है,
saying, Shastra
यानी कि
means
आपको
that
जो
which gives
करना
you
चाहिए, यानी
vidhi.
कि उसका पालन करना
This is
चाहिए,
what you should do.
मतलब आचरण करना
Means you
चाहिए।
should follow. You should do
शास्त्र में
acharan. You should
आचरण
have
नहीं है,
character according to
केवल
Shastra.
प्रचार में।
So the essence of
इसलिए
Shastra is
शास्त्र
achar.
पढ़िए,
It is not prachar.
उसका
First, you
अध्ययन
should
करिए,
study
उससे
Shastra. You
पढ़िए,
should learn. You
तभी
should
हम आचार्य
behave.
बन सकते
You
हैं।
should imbibe that.
तो जो
You should act
भगवत
according to
प्रचारक होते हैं
Shastra.
उनको हम आचार्य बोलते हैं, चाहे वो
Should
बड़े
realize
बड़े
that.
शंकराचार्य
Then
जी
you
हों,
do
चाहे
prachar.
श्री
So
रामानुजाचार्य
if you
जी हों,
say the great
चाहे
preachers
जगत
like
गुरु
Sri
जी हों,
Ramanujacharya, Sri
चाहे
Vallabhacharya, Sri
महावीर
Madhvacharya,
में हुए
or Sri Guru Nanak Ji. These are great personalities. Like in our Sampradaya, Sri Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, they did the preaching.
आज पहले तो इंटरनेट नहीं था, स्वयं उनको जाना
That
पड़ता
time
था,
there was no internet.
पूरे भारत
They
वर्ष
used
में
to
नित्यानंद अपने साथ
roam
घूमे।
and preach. Even
वल्लभ
Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhuji also roamed. Vallabhacharya ji also did that. Sri Guru Nanak also
उन्होंने प्रचार
traveled.
किया,
So
लेकिन वो प्रचार
their
करने के
preaching,
योग्य व्यक्ति थे। प्रचार करने
they
के लिए
were
योग्यता पहले
qualified for
शास्त्र होनी
preaching.
चाहिए,
First of all,
शास्त्रज्ञ होना
one
और
should
आचार्य
obtain the
होना।
qualification for preaching. And what is the qualification? There are two
बस प्रचार
qualifications:
करते जाओ
learn Shastra
और
and
अयोग्य
imbibe the
व्यक्ति को
character in your
निकाल
life.
दिया।
Nowadays, what
कोई
happens?
अयोग्य
Just
लोग
keep
बड़े
preaching
प्रचारक बन जाते
and
हैं,
make a crowd of
योग्य लोग
unqualified
नहीं,
people, and those unqualified
और फिर
people
वो
become
शास्त्र को
preachers, then they become leaders, and then they
तोड़े।
twist the Shastra.
क्योंकि अब वो जब वो श्रेष्ठ पुरुष बन गए और उनका शास्त्र के अनुरूप आचरण नहीं है,
Now, when they have become
और
Shreshtas,
उंगली उठाकर
leaders,
उनके
and
ऊपर
their
बोलता
character
है
is
कि
not according to
शास्त्र को
Shastra, their behavior is not according to Shastra, and people raise point
ये
fingers at them,
समाज
then
में ऐसी
what is the
संस्कृति
option
है।
left with these leaders? The option is to twist Shastra
प्रचार
itself.
हो रहा है, फिर समाज में तो कुछ
That is why people
ऐसा
complain
बदलाव देखने
that
को
so
नहीं
much
मिलता,
preaching is happening in the society, but we do not see any change
क्योंकि उसका
in
प्रभाव
people's
कैसे
lives,
पड़ेगा जब वो
character,
प्रचार करने
behavior.
वाला वो
So why
प्रभाव
don't we see the change? Change is only possible when the
कहाँ से
preacher
आएगा,
himself is
उसी का अनुकरण
actually
करते रहेंगे तो
influential
नहीं होगा।
according to Shastra.
तो
If the
अपेक्षित
preacher
श्रेष्ठ
is
लोग
doing something wrong, then the
आचार्य
followers will also
पुरुष
imbibe
लोग,
that.
कोई श्रेष्ठ
So you
पुरुष
must
होते हैं
have
जो कुछ
heard
गलत नहीं
this
करते हैं,
verse, Apichet Suduracharo.
वो दुराचार
So
करने
people
वाले
quote
लोग,
this verse. They say that
साधु
Bhagavan has said, even if sadhu
इस
is
श्लोक
doing
में क्या अर्थ
durachar,
है
doing something
ये
wrong,
आपको समझना पड़ेगा।
consider him a sadhu. People quote this.
अब श्लोक का उसका
So you
अर्थ
have to
क्या है
actually
उसको
understand
समझना
this
है,
verse properly, but people
अपनी इच्छा
twist
अनुसार जो
the
कुछ
meaning
कर
of this
लेता है
verse,
कर दीजिए।
and
श्लोक का ये
they
अर्थ है
take the
नहीं,
meaning of this verse according to
वो
their whims
श्लोक
and
किसी
fancies.
भ्रष्टाचार
That
या
verse
दुराचार का
is
समर्थन नहीं
actually
करता
not
है।
supporting corruption or
वो श्लोक कहता है कि
wrong character, wrong behavior.
इसके लिए
That verse is simply showing
इसके
the
लिए
power of
जो
bhakti.
दुराचारी है
Bhagavan
वो
is
गया,
showing
इसके लिए
there
ताली बजाइए आप।
is.
तो ये ऐसा होने से ही इस धर्म का पतन हुआ।
So because of
और फिर क्या होता है,
this system
जिन लोगों की
of preaching by
भ्रष्टाचार की
unqualified
उंगली
people, dharma
उंगली
gets
उठाते हैं, निंदा करते
lost, or
हैं,
you can say
और
its
फिर
standard goes
जिनकी
down.
श्रद्धा है वो
Then
दूसरों
people
को
start
पसंद नहीं
pointing
आता।
fingers at others,
बुद्धिमान लोग
and
कहते
many
हैं ठीक है,
people
इतना
they
समय
lose
दिया,
their
इतना मेहनत
shraddha.
कर रहा है तो
So
इसके लिए
they
ताली
think
बजाइए।
that we gave so
इसीलिए
much time
शनिवार के आखिरी
for
क्षेत्र
all
में मैं
this,
गृहस्थ
and what did we get? We have
समाज
heard
को
so many
समझने
times
के लिए
people say
साधुओं से
that we
कहता है
grihasthas are far better than you sadhus.
ये तो इनका तो ऐसा आचरण है,
You have
ये
such
ऐसे झगड़ा करते हैं,
this type of
ये ऐसे
behavior,
करते हैं।
character. You are always fighting among
ये
yourselves,
बहुत बड़ी समस्या है,
but we don't
इसीलिए
do like
भगवान
that.
यहाँ पर
So
बोलते
this is
हैं।
a big problem. That's
इसीलिए मैं
why
इस
Bhagavan is
श्लोक पर इतना
speaking here.
बल दे रहा हूँ, क्योंकि ये महत्वपूर्ण श्लोक है, हर एक साधक को इसको समझना
So
चाहिए
this is a very, very
अपने
important verse. Every
जीवन में
sadhak
समझना
should
चाहिए,
understand this for
क्योंकि हम
himself
दूसरों से बहुत
and
जल्दी प्रभावित हो जाते
also
हैं।
for others, because we easily get
जैसे मैंने
influenced by
पिछले
others.
पाठ में भी कहा था कि
So
जिसके
the
अंदर
like I told in the
बहुत
previous
ज्ञान है
class,
लेकिन
there are
आचरण
some
गलत
people
है,
who have knowledge but do
कैसे
not
हम
have
ज्ञान
good
ले सकते हैं?
character. So
एक
you
बात
can
कही
take
थी, ज्ञान
knowledge,
पर मत
but
जाओ।
do
हम
not get
समझते हैं कि हम
influenced by their
बहुत समझते हैं
character.
लेकिन ज्ञान नहीं
There
है,
are some people who have good
ठीक
character
है,
but do
लेकिन वो
not
गलती कर सकते
do
हैं
not
क्योंकि
have good
उनको पता
knowledge.
नहीं है कि
So
ऐसी
that is
स्थिति में
fine,
क्या आचरण
but
करना
they may
चाहिए।
make mistake because they do not have the knowledge in which
अच्छा
situation
व्यक्ति,
how
वो
to act.
श्रेष्ठ व्यक्ति वास्तव में वो
So
है
the best
जो
person
शास्त्र
is
की
that
शास्त्र के
who is
अनुसार
learned in
चलता है और
Shastra
उसका
as
आचरण
well as
करता है।
he has ideal character.
उसी की बात भगवान यहाँ पर कर
So
रहे हैं।
Bhagavan is
ये
speaking
श्रेष्ठ
of that
शब्द का
person
प्रयोग
here.
किया है यहाँ
The
पर,
word
और
Shrestha
आचरण
which is
विशेषता
used
है,
here
ये ऐसे व्यक्ति को ही श्रेष्ठ
is
यहाँ कहा
for
गया है
that type
जिसको
of
शास्त्र की
person
ज्ञाता
who
है
is learned in Shastra and
और
also
इसका
has ideal
और वो
character.
तभी होगा जब उसके अंदर भौतिक आसक्ति, विषय
That is
आसक्ति,
only possible when such a person
जिसके
is
अंदर
free from
विषयों के प्रति
material
आसक्ति है,
attachment. One who has material
तभी इसके अंदर
attachment,
गड़बड़ आएगा।
he will definitely have, he or she will have definitely
इसलिए
have some flaws
इंद्रिय निग्रह
somewhere in his
और
character.
मिथ्याचार की बात पहले कही, इसलिए
That is
कही
why
कि बाहर से कर्म इंद्रियाणि संयम्य आस्ते मनसा स्मरण। तो बाहर से आप
so that's
अपने
why
इंद्रियों को
Bhagavan
नियंत्रण
had
कर
told
सकते हैं, जिस
earlier
बारे में आप
that
चिंतन करते हैं। तो
People show control of senses externally, but they meditate on sense enjoyment internally. So this is mithyachar, hypocrisy. This is not correct. So when we have come to the spiritual path and our goal is to realize Bhagavan, so then we should meditate. Does Bhagavan actually like my character, my behavior, my actions? So we should understand that we are not cheating others by our hypocrisy. We are cheating ourselves because we cannot cheat Bhagavan. Bhagavan is sitting in our heart. So he knows everything. In front of Bhagavan, everyone is naked, absolutely, totally naked, 100% naked. There is absolutely nothing that you can hide from Bhagavan. So when you hide your character or behavior from others, your actions from others, then whom are you cheating? You are cheating yourself only. So that is why we should not behave or act in such a way that when others hear about that, they lose faith. This is a standard. This is a parameter. First of all, we should not act in a way such that my own buddhi intelligence tells me that why am I doing this? Do not go against your own intelligence. Don't act in a way wherein your own conscience pricks you and gives you a guilty feeling. If you get that, you should understand that what you are doing is wrong. Do not support that. Otherwise, you will become weak hearted. Bhagavan has given us buddhi, intelligence. We can get out of this bondage of this material world by using our buddhi. We are equipped with that. But if we do not respect our buddhi, then Bhagavan also cannot protect us. Because the energy that Bhagavan has given to us, we if we misuse that, then what can Bhagavan do? If you give money to somebody and that person misuses the money you have given, why will he give you money again? So Bhagavan has given us the most important thing in this human life, that is our buddhi, intelligence. So we should protect the buddhi very carefully. We should make sure that it is not getting polluted by our diet, by our association, by our lifestyle. We should not pollute our intelligence. That is why there are so many rules and restrictions in our dharma. Those rules and restrictions are given to make sure that our intelligence remains pure. Because if intelligence gets polluted, then our fall down is guaranteed. Because buddhi is that which operates everything. And if you are not listening to the driver, if you do not follow the driver only, if you start disrespecting the driver only, then your vehicle will fall in the ditch. This is a true story which I know about that happened in a village. So there was a marriage party which was moving from one village to another. Earlier, the marriages used to continue for 3 days, marriage program. So the marriage party arrived late and the people were ready to welcome the marriage party. Earlier, people used to be very excited. There was a lot of excitement in the village. The marriage party was going because they used to get very less opportunities for traveling because village people mostly remained in their village, busy in their occupation in agriculture. So if they got some opportunity for traveling, they used to be very excited. So in such enthusiasm, excitement, if the bus arrives late, so the villagers were very angry, and the people in marriage party, they have a lot of pride. So these people from the boy side, they feel that we are like the lord of the world. They feel very proud. So then when the bus arrived late, these villagers, they started beating the bus driver. Now the bus driver was alone. So what could he do? He could not protest. but he was angry internally. So when these people were all traveling in the bus, when he had to cross the Yamuna on the bridge, so he just turned the bus and everybody fell down. He also died. He, the entire bus fell down. The driver himself also died. The point is that our buddhi is the driver. If we do not obey the buddhi, intelligence, then we will definitely fall down. That is why it is very important, very highly essential to respect the buddhi. Whatever knowledge we have, whatever our buddhi says, we should listen to buddhi because wisdom comes from intelligence. The more you listen to that, the more it will become powerful. So this buddhi tells us because ordinary things like not speaking lie, not giving trouble to others, everybody understands all this. No, there is nobody who doesn't understand this. So we have to listen to this voice that I should not cheat anyone. Why do I have to cheat anybody? Why do I have to speak lie and usurp others' property? This is ideal character, ideal behavior. What is the praman for this ideal character or behavior? The praman is Shastra. Praman means if somebody is behaving in a certain way, let's say there is a Brahman and he is following his Brahmana dharma. Now he will not follow the Kshatriya dharma, but he can tell the praman to the Kshatriya that this is the praman for your dharma. That's why two things are mentioned here. 2 points. One is acharan and one is the praman. So this Brahman can also tell the Praman to another person for a dharma which is not that of the Brahmana. But the Brahman knows that Praman of others' dharmas also. So I am again coming back to the same point because this is very important that the essence of Shastra is acharan, not prachar, not preaching. According to Purva Mimamsa also, Vedas have 5 types of statements. In these 5 types, the first is Vidhi, and that is most important. The other 4 are just supporting Vidhi. And Vidhi means do this, meaning behave like this, act like this, do this, don't do that. So, this is what Bhagavan is telling in Gita. Bhagavan is telling in Gita, first you learn Shastra and then act accordingly in society. So the fundamental point is about acharan, ideal character, ideal behavior. I am not in opposition to preaching. My point is the preacher should be highly qualified. When an unqualified person starts preaching, that leads to corruption in the society. And the preacher has a great responsibility on himself. He has the greatest responsibility. And what is that responsibility? That is ideal character. Because because the ordinary person does not understand the bhava inside the preacher. He just sees the behavior. If you tell somebody is a Siddha Purush, how do I know is a Siddha Purush? I will simply observe his behavior, his character, his actions, and by that I will derive conclusion whether he is fit to be called a Siddha Purush or no. That is why acharan, character, behavior should be ideal. That is very important. And what happens in preaching, the problem in preaching is that when a person starts preaching but he is not qualified, but he knows the art of preaching because everything has an art. So let's say this preacher is speaking very nicely, he will be successful, people will be influenced by him, they will follow him, and this preacher will get lot of name and fame, people will worship him. This is natural, nothing great. Now what will happen if that preacher if that preacher is not qualified, he will get attached to this name and fame and the worship that he is getting from his followers. Then he will make sure to act in such way that increases his name and fame. Now then what will happen? his earlier objective of preaching will become secondary, and his own self worship that will become primary. Bhagavan will become secondary, and he himself will become primary. His own preaching will become primary. Then he will always keep observing how people are worshipping me, they are garlanding me, they are giving me proper seat or no. Then this person will start focusing on all that. Then he will make his own society, an institution, because he has to take care of all these people. Then he will makes an institution, and then for institution he needs management. He has to make management system, and for management he needs help of other people. Now those other people are not qualified, they just came by getting influenced by this preacher. Now all these unqualified people, they will become the managers, leaders of the institution. And these unqualified leaders, they will have their own influence, they will have their own sense of self worship. Then no, they themselves do not have power, but they will derive power by quoting the name of the leader of the institution. They will misuse the name of the founder of the institution, and these people will become influential, and they will start twisting the shastra. They will hear something they are saying against the shastra, if people complain, they will say, no, the founder said like this. So then what will happen? The person will become a greater priority compared to Shastra. So I have experienced this personally, and you can also experience this. So always giving priority, number one priority to Shastra, and always acting, behaving according to Shastra. This is very challenging. And in order to be successful in this, you have to be fully determined. You cannot say that no, for preaching I can do this or do that. For preaching, if you start twisting the Shastra or introduce new things for preaching, then slowly, deviations will happen. I had seen this earlier. There was some big acharya. He went away, and then his disciples became acharya. Then started doing different things, and they started quoting, no, the our main acharya also did this. So the main acharya, he changed little bit, and his followers started making more changes. So they said, why can't we do that? We are also acharyas. If he did that, we can also do. So this is yad yad acharati shreshtas, what Bhagavan is teaching. That's why we have to be very careful about this point. For such a long time, our Indian culture remained very strong. The reason was that our acharyas were always focused on acharan. And when when deviation started in acharan, then all these problems started happening. Earlier, we did not hear of all these things happening. Nowadays, these are very rampant. The reason is nowadays focus is mainly on preaching, because in preaching we feel great sense of ego, we get worship, we get praise, our ego, our material ego gets nourished, becomes solidified. Everyone experiences this. That's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said Trinadapi Sunichena. Why did he recite this verse? He himself followed this verse in his life. We all know that when he was cleaning the Gundicha temple, some devotee poured water on his lotus feet and started taking the Charnamrit. Then Mahaprabhu became so upset that why are you doing this? So Mahaprabhu exemplified ideal behavior, ideal character. So that is the importance is being shown here, that how acharan is of supreme importance, and there is no person in this world, there is no institution in this world which can become more important than Shastra. Because if that happens, then Shastra will remain just namesake. Then Shastra will become a servant of those people or the institutions. Then Shastra becomes a supporter of that institution. They will just take the name of that Shastra and they say that we are following this. But actually, if you investigate carefully, Shastra has become just an assistant to the institution. So then there is no spirituality in that. It is simply materialism. In materialism, you can at least see this is materialism. But in these cases, what I am discussing, it becomes very difficult to understand this is materialism or spirituality. But the fact is that if you are not giving supreme importance to Shastra, then what is spirituality? There is no spirituality in that. It is all materialism. Because common people may not be able to understand that, but one who is a Shastragya, learned in Shastra, he can see very clearly. That's why Bhagavan is emphasizing this point about Acharan in this verse. In Kathopanishad, there's an excellent verse regarding this.
स्वयं धीरा पंडितम मन्यमाना दंद्रम्यमाणा परियंति मूढ़ा अंधेनैव नियमाना यथा अंधा। वो कहते हैं कि लोग जो अविद्या से परिपूर्ण हैं, अविद्या
So Upanishad is telling that those people who are full of avidya, they just play around in avidya. Avidya is also of two types. One is not knowing Shastra, that is one avidya, and second, knowing the Shastra in the wrong way, having the wrong meaning of Shastra, that is more dangerous. So one is Bhagavan's Maya and one is Jiva's Maya. So the unqualified people, when they become popular, Bhagavan's Maya is anyway there, but the Jiva also spreads his own Maya. He starts propagating his own ideas. And he starts considering himself a Pandit. I am a Siddha, I am learned in Shastra, I am very serious, grave. And then the people who follow, then Upanishad is telling, it's like following behind a blind person. So if you are following behind a blind person, then obviously you will sometimes you will fall in a ditch, sometimes you will end up walking on thorns, sometimes you will hit roadblocks. So the Upanishad is telling these type of people will take birth in multiple species of life in their upcoming births. This will be their condition. So in this is called herd mentality. Earlier, a long time back, I had read a news that there was a shepherd and he had a lot of sheep. He was herding the sheep, and one sheep was just on the cliff. When the one sheep fell down from the mountain, all the other also around 25,000 sheep, they also fell down. This is called blind leading the blind people following. Now the problem is these people do not realize that we are following a blind person. So the leader also says that you follow me, and the people also say we are following a great leader. So that's why Bhagavan is speaking of a great verse, very important verse here, making very important point that the Shrestha people, first of all, you have to become Shrestha. And then your acharan, your character behavior should be according to that. Nowadays, there is another problem because people see that Shrestha people, so-called Shrestha people are not having ideal behavior. People are going on the other extreme. They are saying it is all bogus. So there is no need of any guru because gurus exploit their disciples. They do not have proper behavior character. So they have created a new theory that you don't need any Shrestha person, you don't need any guru. But as I said earlier, common person, any will always follow somebody. Even if he is not following any Shrestha person, whom will he follow? Then he will follow social media.
मन से कहेगा नहीं ये ठीक है, तो अब स्वयं ही गुरु बन गए।
Then he himself will become a guru.
और इससे जो और भी एक सीढ़ी नीचे जाओगे तो वो है लिबरलिज्म,
Now, if you go one step even below this, then that is liberalism.
कि सब स्वतंत्र
The the freedom, so-called freedom movements,
तो मैंने ऐसे सुना है
liberalism.
जब बच्चे पैदा होते हैं
I've heard don't people say don't tell anything to children.
पुरुष लड़का हो या लड़की,
I've heard that parents should not, people say parents should not even tell the children you are a boy or a girl, means you just leave everything to the child.
मत करो,
Do not impose any ideas on anybody. Don't instruct anyone.
क्योंकि
So
स्वतंत्रता
this is the greatest foolishness,
के अंदर कुछ विवेक होगा।
because freedom is given to the person who is wise.
उसको आप सड़क पर छोड़ दो और उसको पता
If you
पर क्या होता है तो एक्सीडेंट,
leave a small child on the road, then he will meet accident, he may die.
माँ बाप होने का फिर उत्तरदायित्व कुछ भी नहीं रहा, तुम कुछ भी करने
Then what is the point of becoming parent?
जो भी आता है वही कर रहे हो। तो उनको यही पता नहीं है कि मैं लड़का हूँ कि लड़की हूँ, तो जब उनको इतना भी नहीं पता
What parenting are you doing if your child even doesn't know the child is a boy or a girl? So now this is a very dangerous situation. Now the child will grow up and everyone is having mobile and internet, so he will start getting education from internet. And there are so many people ready to exploit children, exploit other people on the internet, whether it is so many people are ready to sell on internet, whether it is the owner of Facebook or is Elon Musk. So if parents are not teaching children, then children will derive knowledge from internet, because you have to learn something from somewhere. So then these internet gurus will become their gurus. So then it is not that anybody who is a guru is a complete fraud. Nobody is a complete fraud. At least he is having something good. So it is comparatively it is better to follow that guru rather than these internet leaders, social media leaders. But these social media leaders, they are governing the society nowadays. So this is a very dangerous situation in today's society. So this Kathopanishad verse, this is uh, exactly explaining today's situation. People are living in avidya, and these are becoming Shrestha Purushas. Nowadays, these people are considered heroes, like Elon Musk.
आपका जितना भी विकिपीडिया है उस पे क्या लिखते हैं क्या नहीं लिखते
Whatever people write on Wikipedia, etc., if you search, you get some information from there. Whatever is being put on YouTube, these people are controlling everything. What should be projected to people, what you should study, what you should wear, how you should live, everything is being controlled by these influencers. So they are Shrestha Purushas, they are sitting behind in the background. You don't even know about them, what they are doing, what they are not doing, but they are controlling your life. So this is very dangerous. So this is,
तो मूढ़ का मतलब जो मोहित व्यक्ति है तो वो दंद्रम में माना, वो इधर
so
उधर
the person who is under illusion, he is wandering here and there, trying this, that. He doesn't know where he is going. This is today's situation. That is why Bhagavad-Gita is very important. It is very important to study Bhagavad-Gita and to understand in our life.
तो अब इस विषय में अगले श्लोक में
So then,
भगवान
regarding this, in the next verse, Bhagavan is giving example, because whenever you have to explain something, first of all you tell the Siddhanta, the principle, and then you give example for that. So Bhagavan is giving his own example, that you see me.
त्रिषु लोकेषु किंचन नानवाप्तम अवाप्तव्यम वर्तएव च कर्मणि। हे अर्जुन,
Translation: O Arjuna, I have no duty to perform. Since there is nothing whatsoever in the three worlds, that is not already obtained by me, nor anything to be attained in the future. Yet still I too am engaged in action.
तो मनुष्य जो हम इस संसार में जीते हैं,
So, we people who are living in this world, it is not that we do not have to obtain anything.
हम तो भगवान की तरह नहीं है ना कि
We are not like Bhagavan that we have everything.
समाप्तम अवाप्तव्यम, मुझे ऐसी कोई चीज नहीं है जो प्राप्त करनी है,
Bhagavan is telling that there is nothing what's in the three world that is not already obtained by him
कार्य करता हूँ।
or to be attained. And that Bhagavan is telling that in spite of this, he is always engaged in action. So he is telling Arjun that, see, Arjun, I am not just lecturing you, but I am actually following what I am speaking. So the point is what Bhagavan is speaking, that we should follow the Kartavya Karma.
दिखा रहे हैं अपने जीवन में।
He is also showing that.
मेरे को रथ हाँकने की क्या आवश्यकता है?
Why does Bhagavan have to drive the chariot?
जो त्रिलोकी नाथ है और वो
One who is Lord of the three worlds
तो अपना कर्तव्य निभा रहे हैं,
is driving the chariot.
वो मना भी कर सकते थे,
He could have refused also.
मैं तो आराम से घर बैठूंगा, और वो भी इतना
He
खतरे
could have said that why should I drive the chariot? Why should I, especially driving a vehicle on a road and driving chariot
अपने जीवन को
on the battlefield is like staking your own life.
लगते थे ना वहाँ पे।
Bhagavan was also getting hurt by arrows were hitting Bhagavan also. The arrows which were being thrown on Arjuna,
और भगवान के ऊपर बाण आएंगे तो वो क्या करेंगे बेचारे?
Arjun at least had his bow and arrow. He could have
उनके हाथ
cut those arrows. But Bhagavan had no weapon in his hand.
कोई बाण लगते थे।
He was just whipping the horses.
पढ़े हैं
So Bhagavan was also getting hit so many times by arrows. If you study Mahabharata, so many times it is mentioned that there was some warrior in front of Arjun.
सारथी भी मार दिया, उसको भी मार दिया, सब मार दिया। तो ऐसा थोड़ी है कि
So Arjun killed the horses also, the chariot driver also, destroyed the chariot also. It is not that the chariot drivers were wearing some bulletproof jacket or something.
कि उसका स्थान थोड़ा नीचे रहता है
The
और वो
chariot drivers were in front of
खड़ा
the
होके लड़ते हैं।
warrior, just that they were sitting at a level below.
तो गलती से भी
But if the warrior in front is shooting arrows, so even by mistake it can hit the chariot driver.
चलाने की बहुत प्रकार की कला होती थी ना, तो जो
There
सारथी
were so
चलाता
many
था
different ways of
देखता था, कभी घुमा
driving the chariot. So the chariot driver used to sometimes they used to uh,
अपने
uh,
स्थानों पे नीचे चले
they
जाएंगे,
used to take the horses down. Sometimes they used to make the horses jump.
साइड में ले जाना। सारथी केवल ऐसे नहीं
Sometimes they used to turn the horses left or right very quickly. So the chariot driver has to be very expert.
इससे
He
कैसे
should
रक्षा
be
करनी
expert in
है अपने रथ।
understanding how I have to protect
तो ये सब भगवान
my soldier, my warrior from all these
मेरे
arrows.
को करने के
So Bhagavan is telling that, see, I am doing all this, even though
पृथ्वी पर
there is no duty that I have to perform in all the three worlds.
शरीर भी होता है, मेरे को देव योनि में भी कुछ प्राप्त करने की जरूरत नहीं है, मनुष्य
I
योनि
do
में
not
भी
have to take I do not have to take either any human body,
लेकिन मैं
animal body,
काम कर
or any body of the devata
देव
to
योनि
do
में
anything.
वामन देव बन गए तो बेचारे भीख मांगने गए,
In the Deva Yoni, when Bhagavan became Vaman Dev, then he went begging.
में आ गए तो युद्ध किया ना हिरण्याक्ष से,
In the Varaha form, he
सिर
fought
उखाड़ के लाए,
against Hiranyaksha. He lifted the earth
जल में निमग्न
out of the water.
क्या काम कर
So he is showing that he is always engaged in action.
कर्तव्य है, फिर भी मैं
So he is showing that he is telling that there is no duty that I am bound to perform, but I am always engaged in action.
कोई कहेगा
The question is, why am I engaged in action? Because people may say that without any motive, without any purpose or goal,
करने के लिए
nobody does anything without any motive to attain anything, because every action has a result.
आश्रय तो तेने स्मृता, तो उसका कुछ तो फल होता है ना,
So every action has a result,
के लिए ही हम काम करते हैं,
and we act for the for deriving the result to get the result only.
भगवान क्यों करता है?
Without result, nobody acts.
तो वो परोक्ष
So why is Bhagavan engaged in action?
इसलिए
Bhagavan is engaged in action for others' benefit,
क्योंकि
for the
जो
benefit of this world.
स्वयं कामना से वासना से रहित है,
Because a person who himself is free from material desires, Only such a person can actually benefit others. One who is full of desires, vasanas, how will that person benefit others? He will always be self-centered.
तो इसलिए ऐसे व्यक्ति ही वास्तव में प्रचार के योग्य होते हैं.
So these are the people, these detached people who are actually qualified for preaching. Otherwise, when self-centered, selfish people they do preaching, then preaching becomes a medium for them to fulfill their own ulterior desires, ulterior motives.
काम क्यों करेगा ऐसे?
It it is not possible. One is having material desire and he works for others' benefit.
लेकिन यहाँ श्लोक में
So
तो
Bhagavan is telling,
इसको आप समझ लेंगे.
Bhagavan, although it is not written in the verse, although but later Bhagavan will say,
साधुनाम विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. तो साधुओं की रक्षा करने के लिए
Bhagavan says later that I appear in this world to protect the sadhus,
समाज में धर्म की स्थापना
to
करने के लिए
destroy the demoniac,
कार्य करते हैं.
to establish dharma in the society. So this is all paropkar. This is benefiting others. This is not, Bhagavan is not gaining anything by doing all this. Now in this verse, there is a word
कि मेरे को ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है जो
anavaptam, meaning that there is nothing that I have not obtained. So some people give meaning for this word. The Gita commentators, they explain this word saying that this Krishna, he also did sadhana and whatever had to be attained, he attained that by his sadhana. That is why he is telling that nothing is remaining for me to be attained. Because Bhagavan realization is highest. So one who has realized Bhagavan, what is remaining for such a person to attain? So these some Gita commentators, they comment like this, that Krishna attained everything and the highest thing to be attained is Brahma and he attained that. That's why he is telling that I have attained this and nothing remains for me to be attained because Brahma is one only. But from the point of view of bhakti, this explanation is not correct. The real meaning is that there is nothing which Bhagavan needs to actually attain because this world is created by him only, it belongs to him. So what does he have to attain from anybody? But still he is telling Varta eva. Eva means that I am engaged in action only. So why is he engaged in action only? That is for Loka Sangraha, for benefiting this world. Like he had told earlier also that you work for Loka Sangraha. So Bhagavan acts for Loka Sangraha, for benefiting this world. And this is his Leela, working for others' benefit. So he derives a lot of ananda in working for others. Then somebody may say, so that does that mean if he does not work for others, he will not be in ananda? His ananda depends on this? No, his ananda does not depend on this work because he is ananda swarup, he is ananda vigraha, his form is ananda. He works out of ananda. He is not working to derive ananda. There are some actions we do to get ananda, and there are some actions which we do because we are already in ananda. Like you are dancing because you are in ananda. So the dance is not to get ananda, but it is out of ananda. One is to act for getting something, and one is because you have something, so you act. Those are two different things. So it is said regarding Tansen in Vrindavan, there is Bake Bihari Ji temple, the deity manifested by desire of Swami Haridas. So Tansen was one of the 9 gems. The court of Akbar, he used to sing there. Akbar was very fond of music, singing. So one day Akbar started praising him. Like I said earlier, when somebody actually has good qualities, we naturally start praising that person. So Tansen was actually a singer of the highest caliber. So when Akbar praised Tansen, Tansen said, no, this is what I am doing is nothing. you have not seen my Guru.
उन्होंने कहा अच्छा आपके गुरुजी आपसे ही बढ़िया
So
गा
Akbar was surprised that your Guru sings better than you also. So he requested Tansen, why don't you call him here? I like to hear him. So Akbar said that, sorry, Tansen said he will not come here.
कैसे कैसे कि यानी
So Akbar thought, why will he not come here? Akbar said, no, whatever he wants, I will give him. So Tansen said he doesn't need anything. Akbar did not understand what is the meaning of does not need anything. Then
आपके यहाँ क्योंकि मुझे कुछ प्राप्त करना है
Tansen said that I am singing in front of you because I want something, but my Guru
प्राप्त कर लिया
sings because he has already attained
यही हमारा
something.
अंतर है इसलिए
This is the
वास्तव में
difference between me and my Guru,
कुछ
and
प्राप्त
this that is why my singing is nothing compared to his
तो
singing.
इसलिए
So that is why
आनंद के लिए कार्य करना
one is to act
आनंद से
to get Ananda and one is to act out of Ananda.
बोलते हैं नान अवाप्तम
So
अवाप्तम
here, when Bhagavan is saying
नहीं लगाना चाहिए कि उन्हें कुछ प्राप्त करना है
in this verse, we should not derive that meaning that he is acting for others' benefit to get something. He already has everything.
लेनी चाहिए कि इस
So we
संसार
should
में
also learn from this verse
वास्तव में
that
प्राप्त
in
करने
this
जैसी कोई
world
चीज है नहीं
there is nothing worth
प्राप्त
attaining.
करने वाली तो केवल एक चीज है
The
वो
only
है
thing worth attaining is beyond this world.
जैसा कि भागवत में कहा है कि
Like it is said in Bhagavatam,
न प्राप्त भ्राम्यते ऊपरी अधा उसी के लिए आपको चेष्टा करनी चाहिए जो इस संसार में मिलती नहीं है और वो है भगवत प्रेम
that we should work hard only to get that which is not available in this world,
जो भी चीज
and
आपको
that
प्राप्त
is
होगी
love of love for Bhagavan.
वो प्राप्त होती
Because in this world, whatever you will get, actually you are not getting that
के साथ में कोई
because
संबंध होता
Atma has no relation with anything material.
तो असली चीज जो प्राप्त करने वाली है
The real
वो
thing worth attaining, it is Preeti for Bhagavan.
बाकी जो क्रियाकलाप हैं वो तो भगवान ही
All
स्वयं
these
बोलते हैं कि अहंकार विमूढ़
material activities which are going on in this world, Bhagavan already has said about that in Gita,
तो वास्तव में
that this is
जो हमें जो कर्म करना है जिसके
all
बारे में
out of
कह
ahankar.
रहे हैं
So what we actually should do
कर्मयोग
regarding that, Bhagavan is telling here,
जनक आदि
Karma Yoga, he is telling that the
लोगों ने
kings like
कर्म से ही सिद्धि
Janaka,
प्राप्त की
great people
सिद्धि
like
क्या है
Vidur,
भगवत प्राप्ति
they achieved perfection,
तो
Siddhi, by
कर्म
Karma Yoga.
वास्तव में
What is that
भगवत
Siddhi? That is Bhagavad, achieving Bhagavan only. So that should be the goal of karma, that
भक्ति को प्राप्त
we attain
बाकी जो
bhakti for
कर्म हम
Bhagavan.
करते हैं वो तो वास्तव में
Other than bhakti, whatever we attain, it is all
कर
temporary.
भी लेंगे
Even if we get that, what is the use of that?
तो उसी के लिए भगवान कहते हैं कि
So for that reason only, Bhagavan says
वाली चीज
that
नहीं है
there is nothing left for there for me to attain.
तो संस्कृत
So
में
Bhagavan is our ideal.
को भी आदर्श बोलते
In
हैं
Sanskrit, mirror is also called Adarsha.
आप अपना मुख देख सकते हैं
Example, ideal. Because you see
इसलिए
yourself
उसको आदर्श
in
बोलते
the
हैं
mirror.
जो आपको दिखाता
That is
है
why it is called Adarsha, means it gives the darshan, it shows you,
होते हैं
you can see yourself in that.
उनमें भी
So
आप देख
the
सकते हैं कि
Adarsha people, the ideal people,
उनके
we
आदर्श
can see in them where we stand compared to them,
के बारे में संज्ञा ले
compared to their character, their behavior, what is our current situation. That's why they are called Adarsha,
सीख लें
so that
भगवान तो
we
सर्वोत्तम
understand from them, we learn from them.
और
So
सर्वोत्तम
Bhagavan is the topmost personality.
इसलिए वो
He is the most ideal
प्राप्त
person.
करने के लिए नहीं
So he is the real Adarsha. And he is saying that there is nothing for me to
सीख
attain.
हमको भी उनसे लेनी
So
चाहिए
this is what we should also
भगवान
learn
सब कुछ
from
दिया
him,
हुआ है
that everything is given by Bhagavan, everything belongs to Bhagavan, starting from our material body to everything. So everything should be
ये
engaged
सब
in
भाव
his
तो हमें बनाना
seva.
चाहिए
At least we should
जो भी
try
करते हैं
to
उसमें ये भाव
inculcate,
रखें
imbibe this bhava, this mentality, that whatever
इस प्रकार का
I'm
भाव
doing
जब
for
हमारे
his
अंदर
pleasure, for his
तो
preeti. So
हमारे
slowly,
जीवन
slowly, if we have this mentality, this bhava,
भावना
then we will, uh,
गहराई से
this
बढ़ेगी
bhakti bhav will
जो कि हमारे
become
जीवन का उद्देश्य
deeper
है
in our chitta, which is actually the goal of our
कर्म योग
life.
का है यहाँ पर
So the section here is actually of Karma Yoga,
वास्तव में
but
गीता का जो
because
सार है
the essence
भक्ति
of
योग,
Gita is Bhakti Yoga.
तो इन सब श्लोकों का अर्थ
So these verses
भक्ति में भी लगाया जा सकता है।
can be explained in the context of Bhakti also.
तो आज का प्रवचन यहीं पर
So
समाप्त
we
करते
will
हैं, कोई
stop
प्रश्न
here.
हो तो पूछ
If
सकते
you have any question, you can ask.
चेतना जी का प्रश्न है, हम स्वयं को
Question:
कार्यक्षेत्र में ऐसी बुरी संगति से कैसे बचाएं जहां शराब
how do we
तथा जुआ
protect
आदि का
ourselves
कार्यक्रम
from places
हिस्सा है?
where
हमें ऐसे आयोजनों
or
में आयोजकों
associations
की व्यवस्था
where
करें
such
तथा उनमें
action
शामिल होने के बाद
activities are going on like gambling,
क्या
etc.
मैं तुरंत ही नौकरी बदलने में असमर्थ भी हूँ?
Because due to, in my occupation, my profession is such that sometimes I am forced to involve myself in such places, be present in such places, but I cannot give up my job immediately. So answer: do not you act as if you are helplessly doing that, but not doing out of your interest and enthusiasm. The problem is when you associate with these things from your heart, then you get the samskara for those activities.
समर्थन मत कीजिए,
So from your mind, your heart, you should never acknowledge or accept or give support to these activities. You can just accept that there is some, this is some result of my previous bad karma, because of which I have to now engage in such action or involve with such people. And you should very seriously pray to Bhagavan that he pulls you out from this situation and engages you in his seva.
नवदीप जी का प्रश्न है,
Next question:
उपदेश के संबंध में
regarding
कुछ प्रसिद्ध
preaching,
गौड़ीय
some prominent
वैष्णव
Gaudiya
संसार
Vaishnavas
में बड़े
are
सक्रिय
very
हैं।
active
वे अक्सर
in spreading the
सार्वजनिक
teachings
कीर्तनों
of
में
Krishna.
भले ही कोई
They often
विधिवत योग्यता
emphasize
न हो,
that even if
स्वयं
one is
समर्पित
not
होकर
fully
सेवा करते
qualified,
हैं,
it is acceptable to
बशर्ते
deliver the
उसमें
message
किसी
of Godhead,
किसी
provided
न
it is
किसी प्रकार की
presented
अड़चन
as it is and
समझ आए।
under guidance.
तो मेरा प्रश्न है,
So,
क्या हमें
question number one:
दूसरों को
should we refrain
वैष्णवों
from
एवं
discussing
संप्रदायों
or
के
encouraging
संबंध के
others
लिए
to
सलाह
follow the
देने में भी
instructions of Vaishnavas and
संगति से
Krishna until
बचना
we
चाहिए,
ourselves
जब तक कि
have become
संप्रदाय
fully
उसमें
competent?
शामिल नहीं हो जाते?
नहीं, जैसा मैंने कहा कि
No.
मैं
Answer:
प्रचार का विरोधी नहीं हूँ,
I said that I am not
आपको
against
प्रचार
preaching,
नहीं लगा देना जब तक
but
आपके अंदर योग्यता
engaging
नहीं
your
है।
whole
आप
life
अपना
in preaching
कार्य कर
in
रहे हैं,
spite of
जॉब करते हैं,
not being
नौकरी कर रहे हैं,
qualified. One is
वहाँ
that
भी
you are, let's
अपने
say,
प्रियजनों
working in office
से आप
or whatever,
उनसे भक्ति मार्ग
and
से कर
you
सकते हैं।
can discuss about
दूसरी बात,
bhakti,
अगर
let's say, with your family members, friends,
आपको
or
पढ़ाई नहीं
people in
करनी
office,
है और
whatever,
आप सब कुछ
if they
छोड़
have
के प्रचार
interest.
में लग जाएं जबकि आपके अंदर योग्यता
But
नहीं है, तो उसके लिए
leaving everything and engaging whole life in
लगता
preaching,
है कि वो
even though if you are
नहीं कर सकते,
disqualified, not qualified,
वो
that is not correct.
उसके लिए समर्थ है,
That's why I said one who is
उसके अंदर
qualified,
ज्ञान है।
who has the
भगवान
correct knowledge and correct character, he should do
संसार
that.
का जो तर्क
And
दिया
in
जाता है,
Gita, Bhagavan is
उसका
telling
भी आधार नहीं
this
है।
logic which people give, that logic does not have any basis in Shastra.
गीता का
In
प्रचार
Gita
करने
also,
वाले
what Bhagavan is telling, teach Gita.
मद भक्ते स्वविधास्यति भक्तिमयी पराकृत्वा मामे वैश्यस्य संशय। वो कहते हैं जो इस मेरे परम
Bhagavan is
प्रिय
telling
आत्मा
one
का ज्ञान है
who
इसको भक्तों को
uh,
समझाता है,
explains
मद
this
भक्ते
secret knowledge of
स्वविधास्यति।
Gita to the
उसने किससे
devotees,
कहा है?
to the
उन्होंने
bhaktas. He is telling very clearly,
कि
one
भक्तों
who explains to the
को मेरा
bhaktas.
ज्ञान समझाइए।
He is told very
उसने
clearly that
उसने
explain
बताया
Gita to my bhaktas, to my devotees. So we have to understand in two ways.
उसने
One
मूलतः
is that in our daily
और
life,
उनमें अगर
whichever
जिन्होंने
people we
स्वीकार
meet,
किया वो
if
समझ
they
गए
have some interest in
तो
hearing
उनको आप
or
बता सकते
learning,
हैं।
you can tell them.
लेकिन जो
But
एक प्रचार रूप का जो कार्य
one,
करना है उसके
the
लिए उनको
acting
योग्यता होना चाहिए,
like for
ऐसा
preaching like some missionary
शास्त्र है,
activity,
ऐसा
for
शास्त्र
that you should be highly qualified. That is what I understand
उनका ये
from here.
दूसरा प्रश्न है, यदि नहीं
Second question:
तो किसी
if
को यह
not,
सुनिश्चित
what
करने के लिए
guidelines should
किन
one
दिशा
follow
निर्देशों
to
का पालन
ensure
करना चाहिए?
that the message is
संदेश
delivered
का संदेश
appropriately
उचित रूप
and
से
without
और विधिवत
distortion,
पुनः वितरित
even
किया
if
जाए
one is not fully up
और
to
यह
the
भी
mark
पूरी
and
तरह से सही और संगठित हो?
realized?
दोबारा से बोलो।
उन्होंने ये बोला है कि अगर नहीं तो किसी को यह सुनिश्चित करने के लिए किन दिशा निर्देशों का पालन
तो
करना
पहले
चाहिए?
शास्त्र का ज्ञान होना चाहिए ना, सीधी बात है। मैंने
So
बार बार
answer: first of all, you should have
के लिए दो चीजों की आवश्यकता
expert knowledge of Shastra.
है।
As I
शास्त्र का
said, you
ज्ञान
need
होना
two
चाहिए
things. One is knowledge of
और
Shastra,
दूसरा आचरण
and second is ideal character,
जो हो तो और भी अच्छा है, वो उसके ऊपर अनुभव होना चाहिए।
and
क्योंकि
third
जब
is
किसी को
realization
करोगे
of that.
तो लोग प्रश्न
If
पूछेंगे,
that is there, that is great. Because when you are preaching, people will ask you questions.
क्या करेंगे,
And if you do not have answers to the questions, you will not say that I do not know. Mostly people do not say that I do not know because they have occupied such a prestigious, they have made such an image of themselves that they know everything.
तो अब जब आप नहीं जानेंगे
So now you cannot, when you do not know the answer to some question, you will give wrong answers, you will fake some answers.
अपराध होगा शास्त्र।
So this is an offense to Shastra.
तो इसलिए मैंने कहा कि पहले
That's why I said that
गीता का ही प्रचार करते हैं।
even if let's say you are teaching Gita, then at least you learn Gita.
गीता समझना कोई आसान है क्या?
Do you think it is easy to understand Bhagavad Gita?
ताकि आगे वाली चीजें तो और भी
And those Shastras which are
ऐसी पुस्तक है
after, beyond, above Gita, after Gita, Bhagavad Gita is so small. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there are more than 2000 verses.
समझना
So understanding that, at least you should study that.
ऐसा मेरा अनुभव है कि प्राय
So my experience is that most of the people who are preaching, they have not even studied Bhagavad Gita.
उठा के पढ़ लिया उसको।
Studying does not mean that you just pick up Bhagavad Gita and read that. When I say study, I mean studying under a guru,
कि उसका अध्ययन करो,
studying under the lotus feet of guru and then learning and imbibing that. Then you teach to others, there is no problem.
थोड़ा पढ़ लिया आपने,
But as I said, you just read little bit here and there, you get some knowledge by hearing from random sources.
ज्ञान थोड़ी होता है।
Do you think this is called knowledge?
आम आदमी से तो आप अच्छे ही हैं,
You may say that you are better than the ordinary person who doesn't know anything. And ordinary people don't have so many questions also, so you can answer them.
लेकिन
But
जब आपको कुछ कोई लोग बुद्धिमान लोग कुछ प्रश्न
if some
पूछेंगे या
intelligent wise person asks some question
कि ऐसी
you,
स्थिति में क्या आचरण करना चाहिए,
or
तो वहां पे फिर समस्या
about
खड़ी होगी।
what to do, what not to do in some situation, then you will be confused what to answer. So if you want to preach, you preach. I am not stopping you from preaching. I am just saying that you should become qualified.
धर्म और है क्या?
What is Varna, what else is Varnashram Dharma? This is Varnashram Dharma.
जो ब्राह्मण है वो
Varnashram Dharma means Brahman does the job of Brahman because he is qualified for that.
भाग से गुण और कर्म, तो पहले गुण आया ना,
So first is Guna.
प्राप्त हो और फिर उसके अनुसार
If you get the Guna, then you do the karma according to the Guna.
और क्या है?
So this is Acharan. What else is Acharan?
गुस्तावो जी का प्रश्न है,
Next question.
प्रारंभ में उचित ज्ञान
Is right knowledge enough at first, or is right action also required to respect intelligence? So counter question, what right action are you speaking about?
कार्य क्या है?
What do you mean by right action?
आपने बताया कि
हाँ, तो आप ज्ञान प्राप्त क्या आप 5 मिनट में ज्ञान प्राप्त कर लेंगे क्या?
Do you think you will get knowledge in 5 minutes?
लगेगा नहीं लगेगा?
It takes, do you think it will not take a lot of time to get knowledge?
करना चाहिए।
So when you are getting the right knowledge, that time you have to act also in proper way according to the knowledge.
ऐसा तो है नहीं कि आप इंतजार करते रहिए,
It is not that you keep waiting that first I will get all the complete knowledge and then I will start acting accordingly. No, it happens simultaneously.
सुनेंगे और
It happens together.
अनुरूप आचरण करेंगे, दोनों
Both are parallel.
प्राप्त होगी।
So when you get proper knowledge and according to that you keep acting, behaving.
संदीप जी का प्रश्न है, क्या हमारा आचरण ही प्रचार
Next
नहीं हो
question.
सकता?
Can our behavior itself not become preaching?
आप आचरण
Our character, can it itself not become preaching? Answer, definitely. If you have proper character, proper behavior, act accordingly, that definitely influences others.
ठीक है, मंगलाचरण श्लोक
We will recite the prayer verses.
प्रार्थना श्लोक। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपाल नंदनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्र गीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मंत्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयः स्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं साधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम् यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर्ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमः पंकजंघ्रये भवे भवे यथा भक्तिः पादयोस्तव जायते तथा कुरुष्व देवेश नाथस्त्वं नो यतः प्रभो। नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपापप्रणाशनं प्रणामो दुःखशमनस्तं नमामि हरिं परम्। हरि ओम तत्सत्।